Good morning, Tom's River, Ocean County, New Jersey, and the Banana Republic of America. This is Dr. Barbara Schneider here live today on Radio Free America. It is Saturday, September 10th, 2022. And I am here today due to the generosity of Dr. Michael Katchmar, whose studio we're using, and the technical expertise of Jeremy across from me.
Hey, everybody.
Okay, so to begin, as always, good morning, Shawnee. I want to plug the local businesses, the backbone of our economy and the key to our resurrection. Okay, so to begin,
Well,
TSF.
before you begin, please,
Yes.
we got all of our Barber babes here piling in. Good morning, Dr. Barb. Welcome back. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, our Barber babes have been waiting for your return, and here you are.
Good morning. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for spending your hour with me. Although we might be over an hour today
Yeah.
because, man, I am loaded. Okay. So, TSF disposal. If you need a dumpster for your garbage, that's the guy to call. You can book online, you can call directly. The service is terrific. Okay. And he's got dumpsters of all sizes. Since the housing department is housing business is trashed, you may as well remodel. You're going to need a dumpster. Okay. That's Facebook. Okay. So Lakeside Diner. Brian Brandisi has been quite ill. He's been in the hospital. There is a GoFundMe page set up for him. Debbie's by his side and helping, but you may want to kick in a little money to help him with his problems. We will post the link on our Facebook page.
Because Brian has been in the hospital, in and out of. He hasn't been able to go to the diner. So right now, a friend of his posted this GoFundMe. By the way, Brian did not know it was going to be done. Okay, that I want to make clear, and also that he may not have the diner when he gets out. If he and we're praying for him, and it'd be a sin. It'd be a sin. This man has gone through the trenches, all through COVID, all through all of that junk. And he's been a constant pal to us on the show. We always talk about him. So please, whatever you can do, even if you just share the GoFundMe on your page so others can see it. And if they want to donate, they can. That is something huge. Those of you who are friends of mine on Facebook, I have the link up there. I'll put the link on Dr. Barbara's Facebook page too. So you'll be able to get to it and share it if need be. Okay.
So on with our local businesses, C&G Country Cafe, Tom's River Heating and Air Conditioning. That's the Petty family. Please patronize. Frank and Maria's Allure Salon and Harmony Salon for all your beauty needs. Let's go, Brandon, on Route 37 for your political needs. Ken's Hardware on Fisher Boulevard. You don't need to go to the big chains. The brewery and the distillery in downtown Tom's River. Local spirits are great. Brooklyn Bistro, a great neighborhood restaurant. Red Rose Bakery. You can get fat there. It's fabulous stuff.
Yeah.
The Tiny Greenhouse for your house plants. They have support too if your plants wilt. And Attila's Gym, west of here in Belmore, where Ian Smith and his partner Frank are open for business and they can help you stay in shape.
Right after you get out of the bakery.
Yeah. I know, yeah. So tomorrow is September 11th.
Right.
And it is 21 years since that day. Just as a personal reminiscence, I was on call that Tuesday, and I was driving into the office because I have office hours on Tuesday, And I was a few minutes late, and I heard had the news channel on, and I heard that a plane had crashed into the World Trade Center. And of course, the first thought was either this was a mistake or someone had a heart attack.
Mm.
Anyway, as the day unfolded, Dr. Kelly, who was chief of surgery, asked me to come into the hospital. We set up a trauma unit for survivors. No one came. So what happened on that day? 19 militants hijacked 4 airplanes. 2 hit the World Trade Center, 1 plane hit the Pentagon, and 1 crashed into a field in Pennsylvania. 2,996 people were killed on that day. And the first casualty was the North Tower, and 18 minutes later, a second plane slammed into the South Tower. The leader of these militants was Osama bin Laden, and the attack was allegedly revenge for the Gulf War, for U.S. support of Israel, and for U.S. military presence in the Middle East. The planes took off. Yeah, exactly, Jeanette. That's what this topic is all about. The planes left from Logan Airport in Boston, Dulles Airport in D.C., and Newark Airport in New Jersey. All the planes were bound for California, so they were loaded up with fuel. While the 2 planes crashed into the Twin Towers, there was a third that crashed into the Pentagon. The 4th plane, takeoff was delayed, and by this time the passengers had heard the news of the other 3 planes. The terrorists announced that they had taken control of the plane, and the passengers fought back. They tried to get into the cockpit, but at that point, they lost control of the plane. It overturned, and it crashed into a field in Pennsylvania. The target of the plane was unknown. Possibilities include the White House and the U.S. Capitol, but we'll never know for sure. In New York City, the casualties included 343 firefighters and paramedics, 23 NYPD police officers, and 37 Port Authority police officers. As a result of that attack, President George Bush launched Operation Enduring Freedom, which started on October 7th, 2001, and it was to oust the Taliban from Afghanistan. Osama was not killed until May 2nd of 2011. And we had a continued presence in Afghanistan until August 2021, when President Diaper withdrew our forces, leaving behind $83 billion worth of military equipment.
There's a brilliant documentary on Fox Nation right now about that, all of that.
I mean, we lost so many servicemen in Afghanistan, and we lost an additional 13 with this disastrous withdrawal. We had the whole situation under control. We gave up Bagram Air Force Base and our ability to monitor China. This mismanagement by that senile person in the White House.
Was it mismanagement though, or
Deliberate?
Deliberate. I mean, because that Air Force Base, that's strategically pivotal.
Yes.
You know.
Yes. It was,
I mean, you've got to be an effing moron to let that go. A madman.
It is all deliberate.
Yeah.
I can't believe it's otherwise. But let's take a walk back through history to understand how we got here. Okay, and my shirt of the day.
Yeah, this is great, guys. Yeah, never forget 911. It's a beautiful shirt, and you got the American flag on one arm, and what's on the other? I love my
freedom.
my freedom. Yeah.
Yeah. So, what else happened as a result of that attack? In 2002, President George Bush established the Department of Homeland Security. And this specifically came after the anthrax letters.
Oh yeah, remember all of that?
Yeah,
Everybody was afraid to open up their mail, for God's
everything is
sakes.
so disastrous. That's why I'm taking a walk back through history to remind everyone how we really got here. So the Department of Homeland Security is responsible for preventing terror attacks, border security, immigrations and customs, disaster relief and prevention. Whoa, so what a job they're doing now. The 9/11, thank
Everybody
you,
loves your
Rich.
shirt. Everybody does.
The 9/11 Commission, which investigated 9/11, also named Khalid Sheikh Mohammed as a principal architect of the 9/11 attacks.
The name's a mouthful, huh?
Yeah. He was captured in 2003 by the CIA and is imprisoned in Guantanamo, if he still is. You know, they let these people out. It's like the murderers they let out of jail so they can murder some more.
Yeah.
What was the economic impact from 9/11? Well, $60 billion alone from World Trade Center destruction and damage. The cancers diagnosed in first responders and people living in New York City from all the toxic fumes and everything. There is a September 11th victim compensation fund, but that has been mismanaged and a lot of people have not gotten their benefits. We have an annual day of remembrance for what happened on that day. And let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, January 6th does not compete with 9/11.
Oh my God, yes.
So patriotic sentiment surged after 9/11. Our nation was attacked because we're Americans. Okay? 60% of adults following that attack expressed trust in the federal government. George Bush's popularity surged because of the way he handled that day. 96% of Republicans and 78% of Democrats voiced their support of George W. Bush. 70% of Americans approved of the news agencies. Now, remember, at that time, we didn't get our news online. We got them from television, okay? The news agencies, newspapers. So when did that change? Okay? This all changed after the government mishandled the relief effort for Hurricane Katrina in 2005.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
And, you know, when I was researching for the show, I didn't remember this either. And that's why I thought this would be so interesting for everybody.
Yeah, totally.
So,
Like Rich just said 90% forgot.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And all these millennials who are living in basements or haven't gone back to work, they weren't alive for 9/11. They didn't realize the shock and horror of that day for all of us. For me, I sat in the emergency room waiting for somebody to save. Nobody showed up because if you didn't make it out of the towers, you didn't make it. And all of the injuries were like eye injuries, smoke inhalation, that kind of stuff that first aiders and first responders treated on the spot. So what happened with Hurricane Katrina. Hurricane Katrina began as a tropical depression over the Bahamas on August 23rd, 2005. It made landfall between Miami and Fort Lauderdale, Florida, as a Category 1 hurricane. Okay, not terrible, inconvenient, but not life-threatening.
Yeah.
The hurricane spent less than 8 hours over land and then went to the Gulf of Mexico, and it quickly intensified when it reached that warm water in the Gulf. By August 27th, Katrina was a Category 3 hurricane. By the next day, Katrina had become one of the most powerful Atlantic storms on record, with winds greater than 170 miles per hour. Yes, going back to 9/11, that's correct, Liz.
Yeah.
So on August 29th, the storm made landfall in Louisiana as a Category 4 hurricane, and a second landfall, because it was huge, onto the coastal cities of Gulfport and Biloxi in Mississippi. In New Orleans, much of the city is below sea level, okay? The rain and storm surge caused by Katrina overwhelmed the levee system, causing initially 20% of the city to be underwater.
Oh my God.
The mayor of New Orleans ordered evacuation of the city, but not all people left. I mean, that happened with Superstorm Sandy here. People can't leave their homes, they have animals, they're infirm. By August 30th, 80% of the city was underwater. The levee system had been totally overwhelmed, and the city was flooded. Looting was rampant. 30,000 people sought refuge under the damaged roof of the Louisiana Superdome. An additional 25,000 gathered at the convention center. There was no food, water, or sanitation. A public health emergency was declared. So, not until September 2nd, 3 days later, did the National Guard mobilize to distribute food and water. They continued to try and evacuate victims. By September 6th, there were less than 10,000 residents left. And there were stories of hospital workers unable to take care of their patients, police officers who left. They couldn't get to the victims. The place was flooded. You needed helicopters, and they were in short supply. The last of the flood waters was pumped out by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers on October 11th, 2005, 43 days after Katrina made landfall.
Mm.
The damages mounted to $160 billion. The population of New Orleans was decreased by 29%.
Now, weren't all these people in some sort of a sports complex?
Yeah, the Superdome.
And it took them forever to get food or even water to
that
them?
was the tragedy. They had
Yeah.
no food, no water, no
So
sanitation.
these people just went through the nightmares of their lives, and they were then, ushered into this sporting complex, and didn't have the basic essentials to survive.
Now, you might say that that's because they didn't evacuate when they were told to do so.
Right.
But, it's hard to leave your home. I mean, and what happened?
Well, you spend your whole life filling it
Yeah.
with memories and everything. I mean, things that are heirlooms you've tucked away. Now you got the planet Earth destroying your home, and you've got to just scramble and grab whatever you can, and most importantly, your loved ones, and try to get out of there alive. I mean, that had to have been a nightmare.
Well, it was, and 10 years after Katrina, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers acknowledged that there had been flaws in the construction of the levee system. In addition, many parts of New Orleans that were vulnerable to flooding were not listed as flood zones by FEMA. That's a Federal Emergency Management Agency. So these homeowners didn't have flood insurance.
Yeah.
So not only did they lose everything, they couldn't collect on their losses.
FEMA really dropped the ball on that one. Yeah.
Right. And because of the extensive FUBAR, people
Yes.
completely lost faith in the federal government's ability to take care of disasters. The Fed did put $15 billion to upgrade and fix the levee system. And it looks like it worked because when Hurricane Ida, which was a Category 4 hurricane, made landfall just 1 year ago in August 2021, the levee system held. But there were people who lost everything, and the population of New Orleans has never recovered.
Yeah, Sean just said the same thing happened here. Yeah, and that
With
was I was out in that one. I had to. I was
Superstorm
circling.
Sandy?
Yeah, Sandy. I was out there, like walking around the perimeter of my house, making sure everything was good. But the wind was so powerful. You felt like a mime walking against the wind. You weren't getting very far, and in the distance, you could see the transformers on the telephone poles exploding
You could
and
you could
stuff.
hear
Yeah,
the
you could
could
hear
hear
them.
the
Yeah.
explosions. And yeah, the next day, we could not get out of the house. I mean, there were so many trees down in my neighborhood blocking access. You couldn't get out of the driveway. And as I was looking at this disaster, I heard this sound, and it was Sean with a those electrical chopper things. I'm blocking on the name, cutting his way through to get to us.
He's just saying here, places got flooded that no one thought
Yep.
would get flooded.
Yep.
But he also says he got you out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Boy.
Yeah. Liz says here, the water was an inch from coming in my house. Every house in the area was its own island, and you could see the glow of fire on the barrier islands.
So what else happened after 9/11? The Patriot Act was passed in October of 2001. And why is this crucial? The idea of the Patriot Act was to strengthen measures to protect us against acts of terrorism and to protect our monetary system for being used by foreign unfriendlies. It allowed for the indefinite detention of non-citizens, but it also allowed for increased surveillance. It weakened privacy rights by allowing government access without probable cause. It violates at least about 6 amendments of the Bill of Rights. It increased the power of the federal government, making it easier to spy on citizens. The original intent was to combat terrorism and also to allow different agencies to share information. Because what happened with 9/11 is that different agencies were picking up this chatter about an impending attack on the United States of America, but they didn't share information. They didn't find out about foreign terrorists taking plane lessons, but telling them we don't need to know how to land. And it was a an intelligence failure on the part of all our intelligence agencies.
I just want to say to everybody listening, if you look at Dr. Barbara, this amazing woman across from me, and she's telling these horrific moments of history that we've had to live through, you can see how shaken she is because she relives all of this every time she does a show. And she relives the pain, the agony of it, other people's pain and other people's agony. She's quite remarkable. And I just sit across from her here and I'm just like, awe of her.
Weep for America.
Yeah.
Anyway, the Fourth Amendment to the Constitution in the Bill of Rights is the right of people to be secure against unreasonable searches. That right has been violated by the Patriot Act, and it continues to be violated. Our former president was subjected to an unreasonable search and seizure of documents. The president of the United States.
Oh yeah, now
So this
they're
is-
after his medical history now. Like why?
And-
And if they ever found anything, they would have brought it up by now. They found nothing.
What they wanted were his private documents, and that's why they're opposing the appointment of a special master. And wow,
Yeah.
that's really great.
So that's and that was another thing during Hurricane Sandy. You saw the best of the people who lived there and the worst of the people who came to take advantage of the people that were there, because they were charging like huge amounts of money for just a small generator to get people through, or a bit of gasoline when everybody was waiting in line for their gasoline forever,
and the neighbors who had generators and were ungenerous.
Yes.
We won't go there.
Yeah, no, you're right though. You're 100% right. My neighbors had that as well. We were fortunate enough to be able to go to our in-laws, and they were fine, and they had electric and they had all of that. But you're right. No, people when we're in our dire straits, and we talk about these dire straits every week, we need to lend a hand to our fellow man. That's it. The golden rule: do unto others as others would.
But
You would have them do unto you.
That's the point. After 9/11, people helped each other.
Yeah.
By Superstorm Sandy, no one did.
Nobody gave a crap then. Yeah.
So you did have some people. I know my son Sean drove around with water, blankets, a chainsaw, that's the word, trying to help. But how many people did that? So Ben Franklin said, those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety.
Rich here says, I was stationed on Normandy Beach that night. We actually parked on the bridge to Strickland Island, armed with only a bag of Cool Ranch Doritos. True story.
Superstorm Sandy was terrible. So, wow.
Yeah.
We didn't have that on my block.
Yeah.
So where are we today and how are we getting here? So a little bit more history. So the Democrat Party is the so-called party of the working man. That is false. The Democrats have instituted policies that have been devastating to poor and middle-class families for almost 100 years. Despite this, the poor and middle class turn out in droves to vote for Democrats. And when did this horrific thing start? Woodrow Wilson, he created the Federal Reserve, which is there to take care of itself, the federal income tax, and the disaster of World War I. Then you had FDR, with the New Deal to try and get us out of the Depression,
Mm.
and World War II, which did get us out of the Depression. Moving right along, we have Lyndon Johnson and his creation of the Great Society. And what was the Great Society? It was merely an expansion of the welfare state. As a result of this Great Society, we had increased crime, destabilization of the family, because there was no longer a stigma to being a single mother. So there was a surge in the rate of single mother births and intergeneration dependency on government welfare programs. And the Great Society created an entire group of people without hope or ambition. Single women, third and fourth generations living off welfare in urban areas, with kids being held hostage by the failing inner city schools. To add insult to injury, in 1965, Johnson got passed the Elementary and Secondary Education Act, and that's how the Fed took over the education of our children. The NEA Teachers Union, which surged as a result of that federal money, opposes any and all efforts to reform these failing schools. The first one who tried to do it was number 45, and the NEA fought him every step of the way because they have no interest in our children. They're only interested in their power and pocketbooks.
Hmm.
What else happened to help destroy America? And it's not now just Democrats. So George Bush had the stimulus bill of 2008, which was $150 billion, and then the TARP Act with $700 billion to try and buy our way out of recession.
Yeah.
Obama added insult to injury in 2009 with the $787 billion American Recovery and Reinvestment Act. That's where all his buddies got kickbacks and money, and who knows what he took from that. A third of that money from Obama went to state and local governments, and it was a payoff to unions for delivering the vote. So all you union members, your bosses don't care about you. They care about themselves and enriching themselves. That's how we lost, one of the reasons we lost the Keystone Pipeline. And that's one of the reasons that Biden got as many votes as he did, although he was not the winner of the election.
Dominion.
So, yeah. Now,
and and after he got in, he's been moving us closer and closer and closer to a China model. So, I mean, the fix
he's a paid Chinese agent.
Yeah, the fix is in, folks. The world's going to change, and you know what? These votes we think were so powerful. I remember when I was in high school, there was so much about the importance of voting and what your vote really means and stuff. And then to find out during our last presidential election that my vote doesn't mean anything.
Well, before I get back to Biden and his recent bill, as you know, George Soros donated $18 billion of his personal fortune to the creation of agencies that will help steal the American vote. And that's by not having voter ID, having non-citizens vote, having election fraud. And this has been funded by Soros, and people have been paid to steal our election.
Well, that's what Mar-a-Lago is all about, to decredit and a president that was already gone through a bloodless assassination to get him out of office by just the worst kind of muckraking you could imagine.
The fear that they have for Trump is one of the reasons to vote him back in. So now Biden's passed a $400 billion act to reduce inflation. Does anybody believe that's going to happen? This is another way to devastate the working man and woman in this country.
Deborah's right.
Yes.
Dead people voting.
Judicial Watch, which is a wonderful organization, has been after different cities to clear up their voter rolls. And there is a federal law mandating that this be done, but Democrat cities and states especially have violated the federal law. So Biden's policies, basically America last, citizens last. And the big winners are China, Russia, and Iran, the new axis of evil. Just like we had an axis of evil in World War II, we have a surging axis of evil in 22. Tehran is supplying Iranian-made drones to Russian forces in Ukraine. And we keep dumping billions of dollars into Ukraine defense. And we're borrowing that money from China. So these drones, these Russian drones, have parts made in China. Russia is now sending energy to China instead of Europe.
Unbelievable.
To her credit, Britain's new prime minister is going to start fracking to tap into their natural gas reserves. And just in mentioning Britain, a voice of condolence for the loss of the great Queen Elizabeth II. Truly a grand lady who lived through a lot of heartache and adversity and always served her country. I wish we could say the same about our leaders.
Yeah. I was saying before the show, the royal family had a lovely letter from Vladimir Putin and China even, So, how bad could the man be, really? I mean, really.
So China is in the process of adding as many coal plants as possible. And by 2025, their coal plants will have 5 times the amount that the American coal-fired electricity production capacity is. 5 times our electricity production capacity. And this is while we're closing coal plants, and you have people insisting that we buy electric vehicles, which we won't be able to charge. And the whole idea is to reduce American mobility, our freedom. So what else is Judicial Watch doing? Judicial Watch, by getting FOIA documents and getting depositions unsealed, has confirmed that Obama's IRS targeted conservative groups to interfere with the 2012 election. So though Judicial Watch got those documents unsealed, they're documents from 2014, by the way, and all these people were granted immunity. And so the concept of stealing an election that started with Soros, Obama was complicit, and so is Biden. So now Biden has ordered 87,000 new IRS agents to further oppress the little guy. They're not going to go after the big earners. Why should they? Low-hanging fruit. That's the little guy, the people making $75,000 and under a year. The the places, small businesses, restaurants, hair salons, where there are cash tips. They're going to go after small business, which is the backbone of the US government. This is a travesty. Um,
Oh, Jesus.
well,
Well, I gotta say, I'm not going to speak ill of the dead, but I don't think. I mean, some people think they're alien lizards, the royal family.
well,
It's true though. It's true. People think that.
just as there are many people who do like the royal family, there are many people who think that they are something that should walk into extinction. The House of Windsor has been around for about 1,000 years.
Wow.
And I think Queen Elizabeth was flawless in her behavior, in her support for her country.
Yeah.
Um,
But they really have no real power, do they? I mean, it's just figureheads, I guess.
it's economic power
Yeah.
because they promote British products.
Yeah.
You know, Duchess Kate, who's now Princess Kate, has never taken a wrong step. She's a commoner who married up. I don't envy her life, constantly being photographed and followed and everything like that, but she also has never made a misstep. Charles, who is now King Charles III, is not a saint.
Right.
He's made mistakes. He's a human.
Yeah.
Only God is flawless. And
Camilla now. Camilla. Now does she get to be a princess
no,
now, or
she's the queen consort.
yeah, I knew it was going to be consort. I just didn't know what the rest of the title would be. Yeah.
Queen Elizabeth declared that some months ago.
Really?
That yeah.
Wow.
Okay. True confessions. I follow the royals
Religiously.
Well, not religiousstar-crossed but
No, but some people do. Some people love it that there's
and
still that kind of monarchy out there in the world.
it's a star-crossed lovers. Charles and Camilla were in love.
Mhm.
Elizabeth did not permit the marriage. They both married other people, and now they're together. And Camilla they got married, I think, 17 years ago, and Camilla has tried to always serve and do charitable work since that marriage.
But she can't inherit the throne.
No.
No.
The next in line is William.
So she's queen consort in name only, really. I mean, well, she is a consort, but I mean, queen in name only.
She's with the man she loves.
Yeah.
It happened late, but it happened. After Charles, William is next in line, and after William, George is next in line.
Oh, you know your stuff.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but they promote charities. They do good stuff.
Yeah.
Is it enough? It's not for me to judge. That's for God judges men.
God judges that. Yeah.
And so,
you know what I think? You know what I think the divide is for most people, or at least for me anyway, is the Queen's attitude towards Diana. And like when Maggie and I went to England a few years back, she wanted to go everywhere. We went to Buckingham Palace, and we went to this other palace, but we were surprised by how Diana's belongings were pulled away.
Mm-hmm.
And we were told that her sons were very upset by that. But I wonder now that the Queen has passed, if now the sons are going to be able to return and show more of their mother in these places that people go to and go tours on.
They already have.
Okay.
There's been a statue of Diana recently released.
Really? That's amazing. I love that. Yeah.
Of course, Harry came home for that. Meghan stayed in the States, and Harry and Meghan have stepped down from their royal duties. So Good question, Liz. Um, Camilla is not queen, she's queen consort,
Yeah.
which is a wife. Philip was crowned a prince because he couldn't really be a queen consort. And as a prince, he had sufficient titles. He was already from a royal family of Greece and Denmark, and he was proclaimed a prince of England, which was the highest uh, level he could achieve. And he was quite pleased with that. That happened years and years ago. But so the royals and Britain have their problems. America's problems are greater.
Yeah.
The ability of President Diaper to bring America down in such a short time is devastating. What can we do? Get involved, vote, make sure there are no mail-in ballots, because that's a recipe for voter theft, thought up and promoted by George Soros. And most of all, don't lose hope. In the words of the great, okay, let me, a little background. I'm going to
Okay.
quote Dick Francis. Now, who was Dick Francis? Dick Francis was a steeplechase jockey, a Brit, who rode for the Queen Mother. In other words, Queen Elizabeth's mom. You know that all the royals have an interest in horses and this, that, and the other thing. But Dick Francis was a very, very proficient jockey. Steeplechase riding is not like the Kentucky Derby. Steeplechase races involve jumping over hedges and on fields and stuff like that. And so once he retired, yeah, he survived his career. He became a writer, although there are people who say that he didn't write the books. His wife Mary helped him. Doesn't
I
matter.
think with a lot of writers that kind of stuff gets floating around, oh, Stephen King was never, I think his wife's writing half of them. And,
But anyway, his books are really entertaining. There's no lurid sex or anything like that, but they're very entertaining books to read. And so, to quote Dick Francis, stifling hope is a hopeless proposition. And it's always good to remember that, because without hope and faith and prayer, there's nothing. So to write off America, we can't do it. Once again, America is the greatest nation in the history of the world. It is the nation that promoted freedom and individual rights. We can get them back. Will there be a revolution? Maybe. We have to take America back.
Now I have a question for you. Okay. Because, we've been away for a week. So, and it's getting so much happens in 1 week, and I just want to know how you feel about being a clear and present danger to our democracy.
Me?
Yeah.
Well, that, we're a very small podcast, although we don't know how big we are, because if you share these episodes,
Yes.
we don't know how far it goes.
Yeah.
We know that we've had people in North Carolina and Kansas and other places like that.
Could you believe he said that?
What?
Joe Biden, in his big dark speech, he told everybody that these MAGA Republicans are extremists, and they're a clear and present danger to our democracy.
Yeah, and let's remember what MAGA stands for. Make America great again.
How could you turn something so altruistic as a term as that into something ugly? And it didn't work. We embraced it. I'm a
We
MAGA and happy to be so.
So Joe Biden is using the FBI as
Yeah.
his personal Stasi, his personal police force, to suppress ideas of democracy, America, um, and other things. So electric vehicles. Um, one thing they have not disclosed is that the electrical waves can cause cancer. Um, they expose people to radio waves that cause cancer.
Mm.
So this is another step in the depopulation, as was the Francine. And this was, you still have Democratic states on lockdown,
Yeah.
mandating boosters, even though we know they don't work.
Turning the American people against each other. And again, like call it straight out, calling us out as extremists who are going to destroy democracy itself. It felt like that speech, and incidentally, that he said these things about 18 times during that speech. Okay, and then the very next day, Peter Ducey shouted out, are we really a clear and present danger, or something along those lines? And he's like, no, that's what you need. That's what you're concentrating on and stuff. And then the very next day after that, the Democratic Party said, no. What the president said yesterday is wrong. We agreed with his original speech that everybody's evil except us.
It takes all of President Diaper's 2 remaining brain cells to read a speech. Remembering what he read is a different story. He is a prop. He's a figurehead
Yeah.
for the anti-American forces. And that's why he doesn't even know what's going on.
But you know what though? We say that a lot, okay? But I've been actually studying how he speaks. He knows what he's saying. Because you have to give certain sentences the inflection that they need
He was
to bring across.
he was always a mean, greedy
Yeah.
old man.
Research, folks. Research what this man was like when he tried running for president in 1988. He had to back out because all he did was lie, and he was caught on every single one of them. Do you think a man like that, like a leopard like that, can change his spots? I don't think so. And as we've seen now, this man knows what he's doing. He knows what he's saying. He knows the difference between right and wrong, and doesn't give a shit. This man is. I mean, we've been saying that he's feeble and he's feeble-minded. And that may be partly true, but there's enough of him there to know what he's doing and where he's moving this America that we all cherish, and setting us all against each other. There's a massive plan, and he's a big part of it.
So you see, from 2001, from 9/11, where we all got together to support America, to 21 years later, September 11th, 2022, we don't trust our government. They don't deserve our trust. We have a lot of people who are dependent on the welfare state, who just want the handout. And, but there are enough Americans out there who remember freedom,
Yeah.
who are willing to fight for it. That's why the government has depleted our military, but they're there. They have depleted our medical people. Some of us are still there. They want robots. And that was what the mRNA infusion was supposed to do, to create or to alter people so that artificial intelligence can control them. We have a government who needs to go.
I mean,
And
look
we,
at
the people, have to vote, have to fight, have to take America back.
look how TikTok brainwashes people. TikTok owned by China. And the TikTok in China is all about educating their people with sciences and other things like that. You're not going to find, you know, women shaking their tushies and popping pimples and all of this bullshit that's on our TikTok. Our TikTok is completely different than China's.
Well,
And that's all to brainwash us, to make us these people with a 5-second attention span. And you know, and it's already happening. You can see it with your neighbors. You can see it a little bit in yourself. I see it in myself a little bit.
but as you see from history, there's a long history of Democrats destroying American ingenuity, and productivity and everything else.
Yeah, Deborah, I always say, you know, Democrats by the masks they wear. I'll walk past somebody in the mall wearing a mask, and I'm like, oh, there's a Democrat right there.
So anyway, the election is coming up. That's why one of the reasons Steve Bannon was indicted for charges that he'd been pardoned of. He'll fight. That's why Trump's residence, Mar-a-Lago, was invaded. That's why January 6th people are still in jail without due process, without their constitutional rights. Nobody's been charged with insurrection. That's why our border is open to allow the flood of illegals and terrorists to come in. And
if those people can hold out for 2 more years, the once and future president will pardon them. Yeah.
The January 6th
January
people.
6 people, yeah.
And they have to round up everyone who's here illegally, even those with a visa that expired. Get the hell out of my country. You don't belong here.
I would love to see what the conditions are for these poor people, you know, where they are. I'd like to see what they're going through and stuff.
No, actually, charity begins at home, and we need to straighten out America before we take care of the.
No, I know that, but I'm just curious as a you know, as an American, like, these people were wrongly accused of a thing that they're still trying to say is
Which people?
bigger. The president and all that. They who arrested all of these January 6
Oh,
people.
the January
and threw them
6
in.
people.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's okay. No, it's okay. You know, I want to see what they're living in, what how their conditions are now in there. Because, you know, that's one thing they never show you. They never show you the harm they're doing.
You had politicians go to the jail, and you have an anti-Trump jail warden who's keeping these people in solitary confinement, all that kind of stuff. And the people who did this, the judges who have not heard their cases, the judges who have sent people to jail for walking into the Capitol building while BLM rioters destroyed property and attacked cops and everything, they have to be prosecuted for violation of the United States Constitution. So,
can we sue the government for us getting fat during the lockdowns?
So, and, you know, they're still in California talking about stripping doctors of their licenses if they don't get on the Francine bandwagon. So, what happened to medical care in this country? It's people don't trust doctors anymore. People don't trust the government.
Well, the big problem is because I heard somebody say this. I'm gonna probably butcher it, but I think it might have been actually Greg Gutfeld who said this. He said, because before truth was truth, but now opinion is truth. And that's what's screwing up a lot of this stuff, because now you can just say whatever you want, claim it's truth, and everything else is disinformation. And and everybody's spinning their heads like, wait, how is this how is this
It is
happening?
because you have a media that is devoted to the takedown of America.
Yeah.
Who trusts media? What 12%? Who trusts Congress? 12%? I mean, we don't trust them, and they earned it.
Like 32% approval rating for our president.
Now,
I think the majority rules on
and-
that point.
and
Yeah.
who approves them? The people getting handouts.
Yeah.
Who are living in poverty, who have no hope, who have no way of climbing out of it, because the only way to climb out of poverty and hopelessness is education. And the teachers union took care of that, and the Fed. And yeah, you did.
Yeah.
So and again, I don't want to leave you totally depressed, because remember, stifling hope is a hopeless proposition. So it's a beautiful day out there. It's going to be a beautiful weekend. Get out there, think about ways to save and serve America.
Right.
You got to vote. You got to keep them from stealing our vote.
Spread the word, and please, guys, share our show on your personal Facebooks so more people can discover us, and we can get in more Barber Babes. Antoinette and Antonietta and Antoinette.
Okay.
Better late than never, sweetheart.
No,
Thank you.
Antoinette is from Frank and Maria's.
Oh,
Okay?
really?
Yeah, if you need your roots done, she's the lady. So, hey, Trace.
Hey, Tracy.
So, in any event, have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Be cheerful and happy, and be aware of what's going on. So, this is Dr. Barbara Schneider signing off for another week. God bless you, Toms River, Ocean County, New Jersey, and America, the free America. I know they're trying to turn it into a banana republic, but we can stop them. Okay, so it's Saturday, September 10th, 2022. Tomorrow's September 11th. Please remember those who passed, and those who fought, and those who suffered. Have a wonderful weekend. I love you all. I'll be here next week.
Now,
Take care.
for more information about Dr. Barbara Schneider and all the things, sometimes we talk about, she's an amazing breast cancer specialist, surgeon, general surgeon. She also concentrates on reconstructive surgery for the breasts as well, right?
Breast conservation, if possible.
Breast conservation, if possible. What number can they reach you at?
732-244-2060.
Right. And remember, guys, please go see barb.com. It's important for you. It's important for your loved ones. And join the long list of survivors that she's accumulated over the years of her career. So take care, everybody.